and driving down the cost of oil. Now, let's just not pretend that either of those things are at issue here. You know, this refinery to which the oil is going to be shipped in Port Arthur, or at least one of them, just expanded its capacity. They doubled it because the Saudis bought half the refinery. The pipeline will carry 830,000 barrels a day. The Saudis, because of production at Bakken and elsewhere, have cut their production by 1 million barrels a day. There is no free market in oil and gas and fuel. It's a manipulated market. For years, I've tried to get the Clinton administration, Bush administration, Obama administration to file a complaint in the WTO against the manipulation by the Saudis and OPEC to keep up the price. It's illegal and improper, and some are members of the WTO, but we won't do it. We're afraid of the Saudis. We will not file such a complaint. But let's not pretend here that shipping this oil in a excise tax exempt pipeline, which should not happen, we should change that law, clarify what the IRS did wrong there, and to a free trade zone in Texas to export it without excise tax from Texas into the international market is somehow going to make us more energy independent. It doesn't, it won't, and it's not going to affect the price here. You know, last year on the West Coast, we were paying 50 cents a gallon more than anybody else, and we were told, oh, it's because we had all these refinery fires and all, we had to do this and blah, blah, blah. It turns out all refineries were operating after a press investigation, not an Obama administration, because their so-called price task force doesn't exist, and they were exporting the gasoline. So let's not pretend that somehow by allowing, facilitating the Canadians to destroy their boreal forests, which is what's going on here, but hey, it's their right, it's their country, they can despoil it any way they want. But by approving this pipeline and expediting the approval of this pipeline without thorough and final review, we're going to facilitate that destruction. We're going to move this stuff through the U.S. without collecting money for the cleanup trust fund in a pipeline, which will be exempt. And so if there's an accident, taxpayers will pay for it. That's not too good. Then it goes to Port Arthur, Texas, a free trade zone. It's exported from there without paying the excise tax. Again, no benefit to taxpayers, into the international market, and has zero impact on prices here in the United States. So let's at least, the gentleman from Montana makes points about the local impact. Those are valid points, we can argue about the construction jobs. But the bottom line is, let's not pretend it contributes to energy independence, that it is going to drive down prices here for our consumers. And let's not ignore the fact that we actually are facilitating the Canadians in engaging in a horrible, irredeemable, destructive activity of their boreal forests and contributing dramatically with about the dirtiest kind of fuel you can produce to global climate change, if you happen to believe in that, which I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes just to make a couple of remarks. The gentleman from Oregon, I think, makes a point that of the worldwide supply, and that is dominated principally by the Middle East. He pointed out the Saudis. There is, however, an economic fact that hasn't been talked about. And I understand that, I guess, in the history of mankind, there has always been somebody or some group that wants to control whatever market is that you're trying to control. The word cartel comes to mind when you talk about that. Well, the way you beat cartels is you outsupply the cartels. You give them competition. And frankly, because of American ingenuity, just recently, we have the potential now in the United States to outsupply those cartels that we're worried about. The potential that we have, the potential resources, not known reserves yet, but potential resources we have just in North America alone is greater than what they estimate the reserves are in the Middle East. And if you add in North America tar sands and probably some other potential in Canada, that could even be better. So the way you break then the